What up, y'all? It's your boy R to the A to the S. Yes, Rise here, Pursuit Cost Ball. Then talk about the top 20 Rapzillas, Christian rappers of all time. A lot of controversy I've seen online, a lot of reactions. So I just want to throw some things in there, maybe give you some perspective. Not here to really try to, change your mind in the sense that who should be on top and all that. Though I will give some of my opinion on that. But just overall, I think people got to look at perspective. Who were the people that made up the list? If you look, for example, some of these people, grew up in a form of Christian rap that was West Coast centered, whether it was underground or some of it was Southern, but it's still underground sounding people. So if you look at Tim Trudeau, Josh, Lord have mercy, Nehemiah, Jiski, whatever, Platinum MC to me. Look at Chad Horton. Like half of the list, their top tens are pretty much either Southern Underground or West Coast Underground, for their top 10. So if you got like half the people that's pretty much liking a certain underground feel, then of course this list is going to be underground centered, West Coast centered. Now you got little balances with, Steve Patton, Tyler, Josh Wan, aka Esso. Though I have no idea who Adam L is. Could somebody help me out with that? Who is Adam L? Is that somebody he just made up? I don't know. Who's Adam L? But overall, if you got like half the people with a certain bias or preference, whatever, that's what the list gonna be of. So I'm not really that surprised looking at who these people are. If you know their history, with somebody Tim Trudeau's history, Josh's history, there should be no big surprise. Now, as far as Lecrae, looking at the preferences of these people, or some of these people have for the list, Lecrae did pretty good. So I wouldn't, if I'm a Lecrae fan or a Lecrae stan, I wouldn't be upset, because the top 3 people are underground West Coast people, and then Lecrae comes. So if that's the bias there, then Lecrae did pretty well, in my opinion. So I don't see what they should be upset about if I'm a Lecrae fan, because these people he had an odd stacked against them. They got a preference, and out of all of that, he still finished number 4. So not bad. Let's look at Andy Mineo. Now, should Andy Mineo be in the top 20? I'm kind of mixed on that. Andy Mineo, definitely talented. Andy Mineo, who knows what his future is going to be. It's sort of like Kendrick Lamar. Should Kendrick Lamar be a top 20 rapper of all time? I mean, if you look at Kendrick Lamar's first 2 albums, you could probably project that, hey, he's going to be a top 20 rapper, even if he's not loud. And I could see some of that sentiment could be going with the, whatever it's called, the trajectory, whatever the fancy word is, where Andy Mineo's going. But is he top 20 now? I wouldn't put him there. I couldn't put him in top 10. And not to get into all who was left out, but I think if you're going to put top 10, you would put Trip Lee. If you look at discography, you look at the crossover appeal with his albums. I mean, until he went to the pastorship, and him and Andy Mineo basically flipped like that, because Trip was the number 2 man, in Reach, until he became a pastor. Then, of course, Andy took that spot. But if you look at that, I don't see how you could put Andy Mineo ahead of Trip Lee. Not yet. Now, will he surprise him? Maybe. But what Trip Lee has done with the live instrumentation, crossover appeal, discography, I would have put Trip in in that spot instead of Andy Mineo. I would put Andy Mineo probably in the top 20, but not number 10. Now, of course, a lot of people talk about the shutting of pretty much the South. You know, the 808 South. Now, you know, South and the underground still got love. Mars Hill, Plato, etc. But the Midwest movement with Flame and Jason and Thizzle shut out. Southern, in terms of grits, which I don't see how they're not in the top 20, because a lot of, again, the West Coast preferences, they gave love to second tier, if we're going to use basketball players, second tier players, if I use a basketball term. They gave love to, you know, second tier rappers. Well, I'm not saying that they're not great. They could be great, but they're not greatest of all time status. And the East Coast, with these preferences, biases, whatever, didn't get that second look. I mean, you can look at a Jafar Light as one of the greatest of all time. A Shaolin is one of the greatest of all time. You know what I'm saying? These are top tier MCs, Ambassador. Top tier MCs. But this list didn't give those second tier MCs like your R. Swifts that love. You know what I'm saying? I would even go, some people, a lot of you probably would disagree, but I would go with somebody like a Jay Silas, a Corey Red. That love. They didn't give them, well, most of them, some of them gave Corey Red some love, but Corey Red didn't get that love. And it was like the West Coast second tier people, they got the lie. East Coast second tier people didn't really get the lie. Nah, Midwest don't exist to them. South, unless it's bull bap, didn't exist to them. So, again, I don't think it's something you can really get up. I wouldn't get up. People get upset about this. I wouldn't get upset. You got to look at these people's backgrounds, their history, and the preferences for the music they like. Like you look at Josh, he didn't have low commercial artists. At least with Tim, he threw Lecrae at number 20, which is, by the way, I just kept him off the list, but number 20, I mean, come on. You know, so these people have preferences. People have biases. So, to me, it's nothing to get upset about. Look at Chad again. Preferences, bias, even though he showed some love to various people, but in that top 10, he left out some key people who, in my opinion, should have got some love. But that's their bias. So, to me, it's nothing really to get upset about. Now, do I agree with the top 3? Yes. But to me, Braille should have been number 1. Now, I'm a Braille stan. Anybody know me know I'm a Braille stan. But I would argue, and this will be my last point, looking at Soup the Chemist, he's sort of like a Rakim. You know, he changed the game. He paved the way. He inspired other classes. He inspired, his Phase 3 inspired Christology, if you consider that a classic. You know what I'm saying? He inspired other groups. He brought lyricism and just a whole new flavor to Christian hip-hop. So, he definitely deserves top 3. But I can't give him number 1. It, like I said, just like I can't give Rakim number 1 as the greatest MC of all time. He changed the game, but Nas took it to the next level. And that's my point with Braille. Braille longevity-wise, Braille discography-wise, I mean, Soup the Chemist's reign was like 89 to what, like 95 or something. Those last 2 albums were not classic. I've heard them. I heard them. It wasn't like I went back in in time. I heard them at the current time. Those were not classic. With Braille, you got from 99 to his Beautiful Eulogy Day. Now, I'm not saying every album was a classic, but he had some very consistent albums. And I've been saying he's greatest of all time for a long time. This ain't nothing new. Anybody, like I said, anybody know me know how I feel about Braille. So he should easily be number 1. I don't have a problem with Journey Big either. You know what I'm saying? But you got to, longevity counts in the game as well. And Brill got it with lyricism, with beats. Him being able, and I'm about to go on a Brill tirade, but him not even starting off in Christian rap. You know how I first heard about Brill? It was on a underground hip hop site. I didn't even know, until they did an interview on him, that he was a Christian. I didn't even know. So that's how he started out. He was, people, the controversial with people, rapping over secular beliefs or having secular producers. He started out, his first album was produced by secular cats. So he was in the underground scene, being accepted, but still, whatever you want to call it, positive rap. And then you saw him grow in the direction of, as his life changed, his MC changed, etc., etc., until he turned from positive, if you want to call it that, to a gospelist, right? Greatest of all time to me. So I'm not against Underground West Coast, because I think Underground West Coast, he's the best at it. But, as far as the list, I think it was just too many people who were biased towards West Coast Underground, and so that's what you see with the list. Now, if you have some people who were more like, for example, Tyler Burns, then I think the list would have been more interesting. You know what I'm saying? More of a balance. But with the people, more than half of the people, and then you got the other half who show love to the West Coast, that's what you're going to see. So if you got some questions about like what I think of other MCs and all that, you can definitely ask that as well. But that's my thoughts on it. Wasn't really a big deal to me. That's the way I saw it. I mean, and lastly, I would say the way Lecrae is treated, I think that's the way Tupac is treated. You know what I'm saying? Because even though pound for pound, if you want to look at songs, okay, he's not the greatest, maybe he's not the greatest lyricist. But as far as creating songs, same thing with Pac. It ain't a lot of people touching Pac when it comes to making songs. Not a lot of people touching Lecrae when it makes songs. Now, do I have my problem with Lecrae? You can watch my videos. Yeah, I got problems with Lecrae's music. Some of his music. It ain't got nothing to do with the Christian rap title stuff. But you talking about making songs? I mean, he has to be up there, if not one of the greatest. But again, with the people who did it, that's what you expect. You know what I'm saying? They're not into that type of music. So that's my thoughts. Love to hear yours. But see what Cost Ball covers sussing about.